Hi, I'm Rhonda Farrah. Welcome to my show, Fix Your Reflection First. I have had a wealth of life experiences, both good and bad, like everyone, and the one thing I have learned is that I am wholly responsible for the results. As I have evolved to liking the person I see in the mirror, my life has changed for the better, and that is what I help those that I coach do too. Please tune in every week as I will coach folks, listen to stories of success, and give you the tips and tools I have learned to make sure what you see is something you love and help you fix your reflection first. Welcome to Fix Your Reflection First and Live Your Best Life Ever. I'm your host, Rhonda Farrah, and this is Transformation Talk Television Radio Network. Our program, Fix Your Reflection First, is dedicated to awakening hearts, minds, and most especially spirit to our innate power from within, our authentic power from within. That's the power to thrive rather than merely survive. So wherever you are in life right now, if you are not living the life you want to be living, the life you desire, perhaps the life you dream about, you have come to the right place. We are happy that you joined us today, and I am very happy to have Marla Miller with us today as we explore how we may be more mindful and make better choices in living the life that we desire. Welcome, Marla Miller.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Let me tell our listeners and our viewers a little bit about you, and then we'll let you tell a little bit about you. Marla Miller is the host of the Open-Minded Healing podcast, as well as an author, a professional declutterer, and an advocate for optimal health. After experiencing a debilitating autoimmune diagnosis, she was successfully able to heal herself of all her symptoms outside of the MD's office, and now wants to share that knowledge with others so they don't continue to suffer needlessly. Again, welcome, Marla Miller.
Thank you. I jumped the gun there. Thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, I'm pleased to have you. And it's so nice to be having another conversation. I had a conversation on Marla's podcast not too long ago. And I just said, I need to have Marla on Fix Your Reflection First. Let me ask, so how did you learn you had an autoimmune disease? Let's start there.
I was on vacation with my family. This was back in 2015. Mm-hmm. We had gone to a family reunion, and I remember my foot kind of swelled up and I had trouble walking on it. Mm-hmm. And my dad said, maybe you should go see the doctor about that. And I didn't give it a lot of thought, and it went away for a month. And then the swelling came back. And I'd been visiting a friend, and I thought it was just from a long drive I had taken down to Southern California. I thought maybe that's what made it swell, but it never got better. I tried taking Advil and icing it, and it just continued to swell more as time went on. So I went back home and started seeing a variety of doctors to figure it out. You know, if I had a fracture in my foot or if it was gout, or I kind of went around the circuit of doctors till I landed at the rheumatologist's office. Mm-hmm. And that's when they told me it was an autoimmune condition. So they did change the diagnosis. It was always autoimmune, but they first thought it was rheumatoid arthritis, and then another rheumatologist said it was ankylosing spondylitis. Mm-hmm. And then an intern came in the room and he's like, I think it is a spondylitis, but not ankylosing. And at that point, I just said, it doesn't matter what the label is. It's autoimmune, and that's all I need to know to move forward.
Right.
And so that's kind of where I started. That's, when I got the official news I had an autoimmune disease.
So how'd you feel learning that information?
Actually, I was very, I guess, shocked, but very depressed initially for about 3 or 4 days because I could see this leading down a particular path that led to a lot more pain. And I have a very low tolerance for pain, I'll say. And I knew of someone in my extended family that had had rheumatoid arthritis. And I knew the pain. I knew it could be very debilitating, that you could end up in a wheelchair. And my mind kind of went into this dark hole until something turned around about the fourth day where I just had a change of mindset. And I thought instead of looking at the problem and focusing on that so heavily, I needed to find solutions. And so that's what started my journey to actually finding answers, was the fact that I believed it was possible suddenly to find solutions. And once you start focusing on that and you believe there's a way out of this and you can get better, it's amazing how many different options come your way. You know, when I was focused on only the dire outcome, it's like a heavy cloud over you, and that's all you can see. So once I guess, took a lighter approach and really started to believe it, that I could get better, I opened a door of sorts and found a lot of solutions. And we can get into more of that, but that was a turning point.
Okay. Yeah, mindset. That was that. So you were attracting mindful solutions, which is what we talk about on this show, to fix, if you will, how we look at ourselves. And you did that. And then you could live your best life ever, whatever that looked like. And that's what people, if they understand that authentic power from within, we have it. Do we choose to use it? Use it so we don't lose it. That's what it boils down to. So sounds like you didn't want anything to do with the Western medicine approach.
That's right. Originally, the protocol in general for anyone with autoimmune is to be put on some kind of drug. And I was told that you could still have a, productive life. But here's this drug, which you'll always be on. And initially they put me on prednisone and methotrexate. And methotrexate is a chemo drug. It's used for chemotherapy as well. And I just knew I did not want all the terrible side effects of those drugs. My brother, who's had Crohn's for years, I know he had been put on prednisone, and it has a lot of negative side effects. And the fear was instilled in me in that moment that if I didn't do anything right away, my bones, my body would start to deteriorate even further. And so I was scared enough to get on them initially, but I told the doctor that I was not staying on them. I was looking for my own solutions beyond medication. And so that's what I did. I took those drugs. The prednisone did nothing for me. And I told the doctor I wanted to get off of that. And they said, well, as long as you're having any inflammation in your body, you should keep using it. But I thought, if it's not doing anything for me, because usually I think it works for people rather quickly, and I wasn't noticing any changes. So I didn't see any purpose in it. And the methotrexate, I can't remember if I was on it 3 months, 4 months, but I was on it long enough to start feeling the effects of that as well, and to start losing hair. I would say it felt like half of my hair at the time. But I was busy looking for these other solutions and trying other things while I was on those medications. So I went my own route, and did a really drastic diet change. That was the first thing I did.
Okay. Can you
So
talk to us about your alternatives and how you found them and what the results were?
yeah, I think the first person I found was Dr. Josh Axe. I think he's pretty well known in the field maybe of chronic health issues and autoimmune. But he had an online program that I found online. And so I paid for this online program and I found it to be so worthwhile. It brought me a community of people who were also trying to find answers and heal.
Mm-hmm.
And it really gave me great suggestions and it gave me the diet to get on and why that was important and just a lot of great information. So I knew that sugar was not good for our health, not just for autoimmune, but in general. And so I kind of took a drastic change and went cold turkey with no sugar, not even fruit.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just eating all organic and no gluten and no dairy. And so it was mainly a lot of vegetables. And I did eat meat still. I had, like organic chicken and turkey and, but no grains at all and no sugar. And I am still to this day trying to figure out, I had a response, which was mentally, my mood shifted dramatically during the 3 months that I was on that very strict diet and without the sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in such a positive frame of mind that I knew without a doubt nothing could change my mood. You know how, like, on a daily basis, different things affect your mood. Like,
yes.
say someone cut you off and so it changes your mood for a minute or whatever it is. But I knew without a doubt nothing and no one could change this feeling. It was so, I don't know how to describe it other than like high vibe. I don't know.
Right.
Where I also couldn't listen to anything negative. So that meant I did not watch the news. I didn't watch TV shows that were negative. I couldn't even hear negativity in a conversation with someone. Like I would notice it, even an undertone of something negative. And I still to this day, I don't know if it's the sugar that I eliminated or that I was connecting on a more spiritual, higher level, because along with the diet change, I was also meditating daily and noticing differences from doing that as well.
Yes.
And I also learned how to do Reiki on myself. I was certified as a Reiki instructor, and then I did it on myself every day. So it's a combination, and I don't know the full answer to where that
Mm-hmm.
big shift came from,
Big
but it
shift.
was really interesting.
And that's not a long time, a few months, to have a shift like happened to you.
Yeah. And people might wonder, well, why didn't you test it out again and try that again? And I have to say, I would love to do that, like test the sugar theory, if eliminating all sugar did that. But it's hard to eliminate sugar. And the only reason I could do it at that point was I had such a strong motivating reason to do so at that time. Is because I did not want to experience that pain and go downhill. But now it's a little harder to have that strong enough motivation.
Right. Well, you are a declutter expert. So you were decluttering things that didn't serve you.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
really,
that's right.
so you travel around quite a bit now and you tell people your story, and because you genuinely want to help with other, how can you declutter your life? I mean, it begins with the emotions. Okay. And I believe there are only two emotions. We've talked about this: love and fear. So if your fear here creates the thoughts, creates your external world, whereas love has it's totally different. The results are totally different. So would you agree that one's toxicity in life can contribute to what's happening with them on a physical level? And that needs to be decluttered.
Yes, definitely. I've seen both sides of that. I've seen when I've been in fear and what that's drawn to me. And on the opposite end of that, like I said, when I had this shift and I felt so much love and didn't want to be around the negativity,
Yeah.
I would go out, I would start my day. I was on crutches at this point because of the inflammation and everything having to do with the autoimmune. But I would go out each day expecting to see kindness and going out like feeling good about the world, feeling good about people. And it was really amazing how much more that draws to you that is positive. I had people opening doors for me all the time, or offering me a chair, or offering to go grocery shopping with me. I mean, strangers, like they're like, "You look like you could use help. I'll come and I'll carry a bag with for your groceries to put in." And I mean, people just came out of everywhere in the best way possible. And you might say, like, well, of course, if someone sees you on crutches, they're going to come over and help. But I don't think that's necessarily true. And also, I ran into a woman who said that to me. She said, she opened the door for me and she said, when I was on crutches, no one came and helped me. And I thought it was interesting. And I also wondered, did you expect people to help you? Or did you go out expecting to find people are not kind? So
Right.
I think you hit the nail on the head with that. Like if you operate from a place of love, you experience your world very differently than if you operate out of fear and you go out into the world that way.
Yes, absolutely. And the interesting part is I expect miracles and magic. I mean, that's one of my intentions every day. Um, Miracles and magic will follow me everywhere. And you never know when the miracle or the magic is going to occur. I just happen to believe everything is a miracle rather than nothing, that miracles don't exist. I think everything is a miracle. What happened with you is magic. It's a miracle. But it began with you taking some inspired action, because that authentic self of you knew that there was a different way to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think taking that time to tap into your authentic self is vital to experiencing recovery and optimal health and, getting guidance
Yes.
to all your goals, whatever your goal is in life. And so I think that's why meditation was so beneficial. It really helped me tune into what I innately knew. I would come up with ideas during meditation or right after the meditation. I go to the bookstore and I've literally been to a bookstore where a book fell off the shelf in front of me. Like no one was there pushing it or touching it. So things do happen when you really tune into that authentic part of yourself. Answers come to you, people that can help you, cross your path, all kinds of things begin to happen. Like you say, magic.
Yeah. No accidents, happenstance, or coincidence. None, as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned.
Yeah.
What? That's a pretty big takeaway, though, from in a short period of time. I mean, you literally healed yourself.
Yeah. And the full healing didn't happen in 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
Just the mindset and the positivity and going out in the world. And I have to say, even before I was healed enough to not experience all the symptoms I was having, like the exhaustion, the anemia, I had originally had a lot of kind of apathy. I was feeling apathetic.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know, that's teetering on depression, which actually is one of the first signs they say with autoimmune is
Mm-hmm.
depression and anemia. So I was, like I said, it took months to get off the crutches. I think it was between 7 and 8 months before I could, get around without the use of the crutches. And then it just gradually, kept getting better and better, my health overall. But during that time, I wouldn't look at it as a negative that I wasn't fully better yet. Every step that you're moving forward is a positive thing. And I really felt that. I was excited to try new things each month and to see that I had moved forward a little bit at a time. And during that process as well, I was learning lessons and I was engaging with the world in a different way, which was exciting to me. Someone might think like, oh, that must have been a really tough time in your life when you're on crutches and you're trying to heal. But in reality, I was really engaged with the world in a way I hadn't been directly before this diagnosis. Like I was seeing the world as a really kind place.
Yes.
I was experiencing that love and, like I said, from not only family and friends, but from strangers too.
Mm.
And so that's really exciting and gives you a big boost.
Right. And you and I have talked before on your podcast. We call it all forward, whatever it is, the good stuff, the joy, as well as that not so good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to decide to learn our lessons and to decide what we're going to do. So I think from what came forward to you by you calling it forward, I think your benefits far outweighed what was happening with you previous to that. Would you agree with that?
I would definitely agree with that. Yes. Yeah.
It's kind of like, okay, now you look behind you and you say, oh, I don't know if you say this, but maybe, well, it wasn't that bad because look what I've gained. Look at the richness that I have in my life. Look at how I'm experiencing me again, and looking in my mirror and wow, it's a pretty good version of myself. That type of, again, mindset, the glass is not half empty.
Yeah. And I would say it didn't even take me until after I healed to look back and see that I felt it when I was in it. I was very connected. I think that's another part of it. I think, some people they might go through a struggle and maybe they became more reclusive or sad or alone, feeling lonely. But in my case, it was bringing me so much connection, the kindness, the love, and the connection was really buoying me. I don't know if I can say
Yeah,
that.
buoyed. Yeah, you're being buoyed. Okay.
But it really, and it kind of brought me into this exciting world where, because everyone wants to be connected.
Yes.
Everyone wants to have a deep conversation or know that they're cared about or, feel that love. And I really felt that, and it was really compounded during this whole experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that what it taught me too was that physical ailment isn't the worst thing that can happen to someone. It's more the disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
When you're disconnected from people and when you're disconnected from yourself, your inner self, when you're pinched off from love, those are worse things than
Mm-hmm.
physical issues.
Well, what's the best advice or suggestions you can give to those suffering with whether it's autoimmune or compromised in health? Well, let's start with autoimmune. What's the best advice?
If someone was struggling with autoimmune, the first thing I would say is know you can get better. I think that is vital to healing, is having that belief and knowing it's possible. Because when you know it's possible, you will be open. You'll be open to suggestions. You'll be open to healing modalities. And I think what you tell yourself in your mind really does have an effect physiologically and biologically. So start with that. Just start with knowing it's possible. Then the second thing I would say, I mean, on a practical level, I would say and I would do this for any autoimmune. I know there's over 100 different types of autoimmune disease, but I would say you can do the same protocol for all of those. And basically, I would suggest 5 different tests that they don't necessarily do in the doctor's office. Some of them they do, like testing your cardiometabolic testing. I think they do that typically in the doctor's office, but then you have to check your vitamin and mineral deficiencies because every vitamin and mineral is so important. And for example, like vitamin C helps you absorb iron.
Right.
So selenium is really important. It's a mineral it helps, like it's an antioxidant, I believe, and also helps your thyroid and your immune system. So each one of those interacts with, the others, and they all have a purpose. So I think it's important to check your levels of those things as well. I would also check your food allergy, do a food allergy testing. And there's also a delayed sensitivity test. So some foods you might not react to right away. And this test will show what those are as well. And
all of them, yes.
Yeah.
How would someone contact you to get more of this information?
Well, they could either listen to my podcasts. I have some that are specifically talk about different autoimmune diseases as well as other health issues. And so my podcast is called Open-Minded Healing. And the other way, I have a website. It's called openmindedhealing.com. And on that, you can see the podcast episodes. You can also sign up for, if you put your email in, you'll be notified when my book comes out. I have a book about my healing journey that is going to be released this next year.
Good.
And also it has my decluttering information on there as well.
All this information for our viewers and listeners to know will be in your episode description. And Marla, I highly invite listeners and viewers to contact Marla. This has been great. So, in closing today, understand that regardless of whatever struggle, challenge, life change, because it all happens to us at certain times, we have the ability, we have the opportunity, if we choose, to let all of that serve us, whatever happens to be debilitating us, emotionally, physically, on any level, rather than anything less. So whatever tunnel you happen to be traveling down, understand that that light at the end is not a train. That light is the guidance, it's the blueprint, and it's the opportunity to move forward and be the best version of yourself ever. Thank you, Marla Miller, for joining us. Thank you, viewers, for joining us once again. I'm Rhonda Farrah, and you have been listening to Transformation Talk Radio Television Network. So until next time, have a beautiful day every day. And as always, I invite you to treat life as if it were ice cream and enjoy it before it melts. I'm Rhonda Farrah, and you have been listening to Fix Your Reflection First. Tune into Transformation Talk Radio every first and third Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific Time for success stories of folks I have coached. I will be sharing more of my tips and tools that you can use to love the person you see in the mirror and how to fix your reflection first. Live your best life ever by choosing to be bold and courageous, even if it means getting out of your comfort zone. To connect with me, visit helpmerhondanow.com.